I'm Whitney.
I'm Mindy.
And I'm Deb.
We're three best friends who love nerdy things.
Well, some people think we're nerdy, but we think we're pretty awesome.
This is our nerdiest thing.
Hello, fellow nerds, and welcome to Our Nerdiest Thing. Today we are discussing Scythe and Sparrow by Bryn Weaver, Book 3 of the Ruinous Love Trilogy, and we're discussing chapters Reduction through Reckless. Thanks for being here, folks. Deb, before we get started, will you please share our nerdiest cocktail?
Of course. Tonight's drink is named Apex Predator, which is my favorite song from the Mean Girls soundtrack, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah. And then it is themed after a room full of killers. I mean, okay.
Pretty much.
And this pair drinks well with degrading nicknames, brotherly advice, and playing sports, wink, wink. And it may cause you to finally bang your crush. And two people get to do that in this
That's
episode.
true.
That is true.
That is true.
That is true.
It tastes like apple pie, you all. It's
So
quite
good.
good. But it is mostly alcohol, so
A little bit of a spice kick to it.
drink with care.
Yeah.
There's Fireball in it. Do, 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 do,
Well
do.
done, Mindy. It's a good mix of things.
This one's an easy one, too. Just
The
pour-
drink?
Yeah. It's 3 ingredients, pour 'em in.
Yeah, mix it up.
I usually
give it a
Mine are
stir.
usually a little more involved.
I know last time you're like, I need a blender.
Yeah, this is my kind of drink of
Yeah.
like just a couple things, stir it up, and then you're good to
And
go.
I'm like, we're having drink floats.
yeah.
And I'm always like, put some chocolate in the bottom.
Well, that brings us to our nerdy and dirty recap. And Mindy, the wheel has spoken. And whose turn is it?
Whitney, you finally get to go.
It's me. What a delight for us all. So I have 30 seconds to share what happened in this section of the book. And away we go. All right. Rowan and Sloane show up. Fionn resets Sloane's shoulder. Rowan tells Fionn to go for it with Rose. Fionn and Rose have to listen to Rowan and Sloane doing it all night. They leave. Fionn goes down on Rose, and then they take it to the bedroom, and they go all the way. And apparently they do it a lot more times, but we don't get to see those freaking times. And that is pretty much it.
Oh, you had 5 seconds left.
Wow.
Good for you.
There wasn't a whole lot that really happened in the section.
A bang, bang, a bangity bang, a bang, a bang, bang,
Basically,
bangity bang.
yeah, pretty much.
Thank you, Mindy, for getting my reference.
Thank you, Wheel, for giving me that section, because I feel like that was easy. It was easy to recap.
Sloane and Rowan show up. Everybody fucks.
Everybody does it. Yeah.
There we go.
The end. What more do you need to know? Mindy, that brings us to our nerdiest vocabulary.
I've got a really simple one again, but
Is
I
it
found
sex?
It could be. I know I had talked about fisticuffs being a word that I really, really liked a couple weeks ago. So this week it's shenanigans,
Oh, I love that word too.
because I thought that's got to come from somewhere. And I remembered it when Fionn asks Rowan to come for a simple visit sometime. No drama, no shenanigans. So I just really love this word, both from what it implies and how fun it is to say. We know it basically means a bit of mischief or skullduggery, if you will.
Oh, another good word.
Yes. First of all, you can have a singular shenanigan, apparently. Who knew?
You can?
Yeah, apparently.
I really love that.
I feel like shenanigans mean that you're like acting crazy for a while.
I thought so too,
All
but,
right.
But I guess you can have a
Please
singular shenanigan.
me.
Yeah.
So the origin of the word is actually largely unknown. It was first used in print in the 1850s in 2 California newspapers, kind of around the end of the California Gold Rush.
California.
And because of the gold rush and because there were so many different nationalities searching for this gold,
yeah.
it's unclear which language it originated from. But several suggestions have been thrown around, and they're all very interesting. So from the French, it could come from the word "ces manigance," meaning these fraudulent schemes.
Oh.
From the Spanish, it's got chanada, shortened from charanada, meaning trick or deceit.
That makes sense too.
This one I love. The Irish, which, I mean, we're talking about Irish Kane brothers anyways,
Yeah.
had a phrase that I will most definitely butcher. Okay, so sorry to any of our Irish listeners. It's Shanagrim. That's what
I like to go trick or treating on that day.
Yeah, but it means to play the fox.
Oh, I like
So
that
I
too.
like that one a lot. And then an East Anglian dialect, which I had to look up. It's just basically a British dialect.
I was going to say some white folk.
Yeah. And it has the word nannicking, which is playing the fool.
Yeah.
Okay.
And finally, the German word scheinheilig, meaning sham holy men or sham holy actions.
Oh,
All very convincing as to where the word might have come from.
Maybe it's
all
a
you know
mix.
too. It was someone's like last name. You know how I'm friends with?
Right.
She's like, oh, she just pulled a Monica.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
That was such a shenanigan.
What a shenanigan thing to do. Yeah.
What a
I love
Tamlin move.
For real.
Yeah.
I use that word quite a bit in the book world. Tamland. Well, thank you so much, Mindy. And will you just keep us going with your favorite moment?
Sure. There wasn't a whole lot to choose from.
A retro.
Wow, let's just get started.
But I will say I did love, although we didn't get much of it, the instant connection between Rose and Sloane. Like, I love that they're already so protective of each other,
Yeah.
and they barely know each other.
Like instant friends.
It's like female empowerment at its finest.
Yeah.
So that I liked. There were a couple little moments, one from Rose's point of view when they're leaving, I think, and one from Sloane's point of view. Little bitty moments.
I think women that protect women recognize each other.
like
Yes.
game recognizes
Yes.
game.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, Sloane had a boot print on her head. I mean, Rose
Yeah.
is the sparrow. Of course she's going to take care of her.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I
But
like
I
that
liked it too that Sloane was sort of the same way. Like, she was looking at Fion's bruised fingers and like wondering, like, her first
She's
thought
like, who
was,
the fuck are you?
yeah. And she thought he was maybe not being nice to her because that's the first time she's met Fion.
Yeah, that's true.
So
That's very true.
she was very protective of Rose.
I did like that. I like their friendship a lot.
Yeah.
Hopefully we get to see more of their friendship.
That would be nice.
We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see. Deb, what was your favorite moment?
So this has happened in the other books too, but I love that the Kane brothers touch their foreheads together after they hug.
Oh, yeah, that is
That
sweet.
is sweet.
It's such a trusting and intimate act, and it shows that the boys have had to rely on each other for years and that they've got each other's backs. I mean,
Yeah.
I just think touching foreheads is so much more intimate than kissing or
Absolutely.
hugging,
for
right?
sure.
But also, I'm like, dude, I'm sweaty. Don't touch your forehead on mine.
Yeah.
But I do think that's very, very intimate and sweet.
That
Well,
is a sweet
I like
moment.
seeing like strong men be vulnerable with each other
Yeah.
in that way too, because so many, real life men won't. they
Right.
don't want to
Yeah.
be vulnerable like that.
I mean, I don't
appreciate
think
seeing that.
Fion's very vulnerable, but Lachlan and Rowan are very
Absolutely.
yeah,
Definitely.
to the point of like, all right, dude, stop killing people.
I'm pretty sure Lachlan and Rowan are always the ones to initiate the forehead thing. I don't think
Interesting.
Fionn is ever the one that does it.
We'll have
like
to
they
be on a lookout for
I
that.
think
Yeah.
they do it like to him,
Yeah, he is their little brother.
But yeah, that's true. Well, my favorite moment was really just the fact that Rowan and Sloane were there. I wrote they're the OGs for this trilogy, and I think the tone of that first book, Butcher and Blackbird, and these two characters specifically is really like that's what we're wanting from Scythe and Sparrow, right? Like we want the tone from Butcher and Blackbird. We want that kind of relationship and that kind of tension with Fionn and Rose. And so that actually brought me to what I'm calling my deep dive, which really was just going back to Butcher and Blackbird and looking at this scene from Rowan's point of view, which is in chapter 15 called Imprints, and just kind of like overlaying a little bit of more information that makes some of the things in Scythe and Sparrow make a little more sense, at least for me, because I hadn't remembered some of these little tidbits. First of all, we see a little earlier in Butcher and Blackbird, the car ride on the way to Fion's house. Sloane is particularly concerned about needing surgery, whether or not she'll need surgery for her shoulder, which is why in this book 3, we see Rowan asking about it so specifically because he's just looking out for
Well,
her.
and I mean that was 2 books ago, so for me, I was like, why is he asking that?
Yeah.
I thought it was weird
I just
too.
remembered her shoulder being dislocated.
Right.
I don't remember them going to the clinic either.
Well, they didn't.
Oh, okay.
In Butcher and Blackbird, they didn't.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, he's looking out for her. She was worried about it, so he's making sure that her concerns getting taken care of, which I appreciated that. We also see in that car ride, Rowan tells Sloane he told Fionn that they were on their way, which begs my first question for this section of the book. Why doesn't Rose know that they're coming?
Right.
I don't understand that.
Fionn also acted like he didn't know they were there.
Rowan says that he told Fionn, and I went back and looked specifically. Like, there's nothing from Fion's point of view that suggests that he got any kind of phone call, any kind of message. There's nothing to suggest in Butcher and Blackbird that Rowan is just incorrect or lying about it. So I don't understand that because Rowan says that he told Fionn they were on their way, but Rose definitely doesn't know anything about it, and Fionn acts like he doesn't know anything about it either. So I don't know. I don't know if that's an oversight from the author. I don't know if that was an oversight for Fion's character. Like, oh yeah, oops, I forgot to tell you.
Rowan does say, "Where were you?" Which makes sense. And he's like, "Dude, I was doing paperwork." So maybe that's why he says that.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me.
If my brother called that was from Boston and said my girlfriend got stomped on the face and
I
I
need
think her
help.
arm's broken, I probably would have.
I think I would
Been
have
at the
screwed
house?
Meet
paperwork.
me at the
Yeah.
clinic or go to the
Yeah.
house.
I'll be there at the
Yeah,
house to meet
right.
you. Yeah. I don't know whose oversight it is, if it's an author oversight or a character oversight for Rose to not know that they're coming. But it doesn't make sense to me that Fionn wouldn't have been a little more proactive and understanding that a giant serial killer randomly showing up to his house would put Rose a little bit on edge.
Right,
You know what I
right,
mean?
yeah,
So
yeah.
I
Like, he
I
should
don't
have
like
warned
that.
her, for sure.
Yeah, I didn't like that. So, it does make Rose very defensive and it does put her on edge, understandably so. So in Butcher and Blackbird, from Rowan's POV, we see that Rose automatically assumes that Rowan beat Sloane and is the reason that Sloane is injured, which now that we know in Scythe and Sparrow what Rose has been doing, helping
Right. That
victims
makes
of
more sense that she would automatically come to that
exactly
conclusion.
like at first I didn't understand why Rose was like not giving him the benefit of the doubt in Butcher and Blackbird, but now it makes perfect sense, right? So she's moonlighting as the Sparrow, so of course she jumps to that conclusion. And we do get to relive the shit flicker childhood nickname reveal in Scythe and Sparrow, which I guess is funny, but I would rather get more new information from our different POVs personally. But Bryn
there
didn't
wasn't
ask
anything
me.
new added to that. It was basically
It was the exact same
Yeah.
scene, just from
a different point of view.
Yes. So in Butcher and Blackbird, we also see Rose gives Rowan a tarot card reading, like kind of, but now this also makes more sense after reading more about her in Scythe and Sparrow, because now we know that this is just a thing that she does, right? In Butcher and Blackbird, it was kind of a weird, like he said he didn't want a tarot reading and you're just doing it anyway. Like what's up with that? But now we know this is just what she does. She feels a supernatural connection to her grandmother through these tarot cards. And we know that multiple times we have seen her just sit down and do a reading when she's around new people or in new situations, because it makes her feel better and makes her feel like she has clarity, right? And in the Butcher and Blackbird version of these events, we skip from the tarot card reading into the next chapter, which is a time jump straight into Sloane waking up in their room that night. And it moves into Rowan and Sloane's big sex scene and completely skips over all the rest of what we get in Scythe and Sparrow. So in Scythe and Sparrow, we get what happened during that time jump from Butcher and Blackbird, which is basically going to Fionn's clinic to reset Sloane's shoulder. But we also, like you mentioned, Mindy, we do see a little bit of this friendship connection blooming between Sloane and Rose. And we get a lot of really weird Fionn inner dialogue where he basically feels exposed and vulnerable around Sloane and is convinced that she, quote, sees right through him, which I assume means that she can tell that he's got the same darker tendencies that he's trying to hide from everybody. But sadly, as you pointed out, Deb, since we only get Rowan's point of view in Butcher and Blackbird, we don't really know what's going on in Sloane's head. So it might just be that Fionn is being really paranoid as opposed to Sloane actually like reading him. You know what I mean?
He does say like she's the most dangerous person in the room and she's kind of freaking me out.
Well, yeah, he says that, but we don't get Sloane's.
Like, we don't see what she's actually thinking.
Exactly.
But he does acknowledge like, okay, she could like kill everyone in here.
Yeah, well, and that was one of my other questions. With Fionn says Rowan has told me some stuff about Sloane. Like I know this stuff because of, my conversations with Rowan. And I'm like, why are we not seeing any of those conversations?
Right.
Isn't that...
Because it kind of, in the previous books, it sounds like Fionn doesn't talk to them very much.
Exactly. And in this book, it sounds like he really doesn't talk to them very much. He has talked to them a couple times, but not about anything deep, right? Like they're very surface level conversations. And it's just like, this is an opportunity for you to show us conversations like that instead of just like, he told me this.
Yeah.
Well, like show me the conversation where he tells you this,
Yeah.
Anyway,
I think
that was
this
one of my
book
other questions.
could have easily been 200 pages longer and still been great.
Yeah, 1000%. So the Butcher and Blackbird, the next chapter 16 in Butcher and Blackbird is the big sex scene that happens here in Scythe and Sparrow that Fionn has to listen to all night. Which, listening to any of your family members railing someone 6 ways to Sunday is not, it's not preferable. And I get that. But again, that part is kind of just like glossed over. He's like, and then I listened to them have sex.
And I couldn't even...
And that was it.
Drown it out. Yeah.
Right. And that was it. Yeah. So, there's that. There is a little bit of overlap. There are some things that make more sense now that we know a little bit more about Fionn and Rose, but ultimately, like, there's not really anything new or different.
Except for we find out that Rose and Fionn have sex when they leave. That's like...
Yeah, but in this chapter, just
Right.
the crossover with Rowan and Sloane, like, there's nothing new.
Right.
Really. So there's that. And that was my favorite moment.
Well, it's interesting.
That's my least favorite.
They may not have
Yeah.
sounded like it.
So, same, Mindy. My least favorite moment. Where the fuck is my Rose point of view for when Sloane and Rowan arrive? Why did she attack him? Why aren't we covering that at all? I'm assuming that she was scared of Cranwell. I would have liked some inner monologue about like someone's trying to break into the house. What if it's this Cranwell guy? What if it's that other guy's wife that is now hunting me down? And they found his body. What if it's the cops?
Right,
Like she had all these reasons to be scared, and you don't find out anything about what she's thinking. Besides, I mean, she just like fucking goes off on someone, which honestly mirrors her character a little bit, but not really, because if you think about it, she goes and makes friends with all these random people in the town. She would have opened the door and just been like, who the fuck are you? Right? She wouldn't have attacked them without cause. So I want to know like what her cause was. Why did she do that?
What was her thought process?
Right. I'm assuming it's Cranwell.
I would assume so too, but I don't know.
If you aren't nerds like we are, Cranwell's the guy that she poked in the eye with the cocktail skewers.
Yeah.
Who
showed up to Fion's clinic looking
still
for her.
Kind of looking for her, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So I get why she was scared and paranoid, but as a reader, I was like, why is she scared and paranoid?
Right. Yeah, I want
especially
more.
if I read Butcher and Blackbird 2 years ago.
Yeah, right. Accurate.
I read it twice last year. So.
Mindy, what about you?
Same. My least favorite moment were those scenes with Rowan and Sloane at Fion's because of the fact that there wasn't more.
Yeah.
And I really wanted Rose's perspective on her conversation with Rowan when she is doing the tarot cards. That was the particular moment that I would have liked to have seen what was going. I know it's like we get it now that it's more like a
comfort thing.
Was she like stacking the deck like she does?
Right. Like what were her thoughts? Why? Because she said some very pointed things at him in Butcher and Blackbird.
What were all the cards that she pulled? Because she tells him, I think she only tells him about one of the cards that she pulls, but yeah.
So yeah, I really felt cheated on that scene.
Well, going along with this theme, I was really disappointed, not so much with the Rowan and Sloane stuff. I was more disappointed in the sex scenes overall in this section.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
I thought they were good.
Well, I'm glad you liked it.
Mindy?
I didn't dislike them. I didn't love them.
I was disappointed. So, I didn't think they were bad, but I was disappointed in them. So we've got 3 different sex scenes, really, right? So we've got Fion listening to Rowan and Sloane. We've got Fion going down on Rose. And then we've got Fion and Rose, in my notes I wrote, having full-on sex.
Penetration.
They went all the way. And for me, they were all just really lacking detail. They were lacking tension and they were lacking buildup. It felt very much like tell instead of show. And I did not like that. And especially for Fion and Rose, this is book 3 of them for us as a reader, like the buildup. And I wanted more description, right? I think there were some real missed opportunities, especially for humor with Fion listening to Rowan and Sloane having sex. Like there could have been some really funny stuff if you had given us more description. But instead it was like, I had to listen to my brother have sex all night. Period. And then you know what I mean? And it was just, that was it. And I hated
in
that.
Those scenes, it was like they had this first big encounter, right? And then it's like, and then we did it a whole lot more all through the night.
That's the next thing I wrote down. That pissed me off. He wrote,
because we do find out every position that Rowan and Sloane do it in.
Absolutely.
It's a big, long chapter.
Yeah.
Their whole thing is a whole big, long, like this is every single thing that they did. And Fion literally is like, we fucked and we came and we came and we fucked. And that's all. That is literally what it says. That is it. And I'm why are you not telling us more about this?
Except for that, I do think that Brynn Weaver can write a good sex scene.
She can. Absolutely.
I was in the moment.
She can write a good sex scene. For me, this wasn't that,
I did think the cunnilingus scene was the star, though. I don't think them going into
that
the
was
bedroom.
Better than the penetration. But yeah, I don't know. You have given us 2 books of like, just wait until book 3. And then it was like, we did it.
doing it again.
I mean, for real though. And I was just like, that's it. That's all you're going to say. We did it a bunch more.
Yeah.
The end.
That was a little disappointing.
It upset me. It upset me very much, which is why it's my least favorite moment. So I guess that's the proper time to talk about things that upset me in this book. So I could talk more about it, but I won't.
I want to hear from the listeners, like if they agree that like they wanted to see more.
Because I really feel like I'm in the minority of like not loving this book, because I'm seeing so many rave reviews, which is great. I want people to like Brynne Weaver's books. I want people to like this series and trilogy. I want to like this series and trilogy, right? Like I like Brynne Weaver. I really loved the first 2 books. So far, this book is a letdown for me. So maybe it's just me.
I mean, I've heard the same thing. I see all over the people are saying this is their favorite one of the 3, and
I just don't get it.
I'm like, did I set my expectations so high that I set myself up for disappointment?
Yeah, I don't know.
Too, for us 3, we've covered the other 2 books in depth, right?
Yeah.
Probably the typical reader has read the prior 2 books once. I've read Butcher and Blackbird 4 times.
Yeah.
I read Leather and Lark twice. So I think for us, we're noticing these things. Whereas if someone, again, read Butcher and Blackbird 2 years ago, they read Leather and Lark a year ago, they're like, oh, this is great, right? Because they're not they're not as invested.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's not a bad book.
No.
Right?
No.
Like it's not bad writing. It's not a bad story.
Nerds just wanted more.
Yeah. Like it's letting me down. But so there we go. What about our biggest revelation, friends? Who wants to go first?
I love that Rose loves small town life.
Yeah.
She talks about that she really likes the knitting grannies and the fight clubs, which is such a hilarious like juxtaposition. And even though she says she wants to be the Sparrow, you can tell that she really needs some stability in her life. And I think that she sees Fionn as stability, even if he doesn't see that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say he's stable. I think he's faking being stable, right?
Well, and he would say that as well.
But I think she sees him as the most stable thing in her life right now. He is taking care of her, and it's really nice to see her feel like comfortable.
She has lived a very nomadic circus life, right? Like there's a lot of chaos in that kind of lifestyle.
It sounds like she's probably like in her 30s, right?
I think so, yeah. Or maybe late 20s.
I used to travel all the time for work, and I loved it, and I do miss it a little bit, but it's exhausting. So I can't imagine traveling every 5 days.
Yeah, like
and packing up my RV, meeting new people, and having to like see the same people every 24 hours. I mean, that's a lot, right? And I think that she has really connected with the people in this town.
Yeah, and she has said a couple of times too that this is the kind of life that she like wishes that she could have, but doesn't let herself actually hope for, because she doesn't feel like it would ever be realistic.
Well, Rose, you can't have that life if you keep unaliving dudes either. Like you can't stay in one place if you're going to kill all the. I mean, for the record, I love that she kills all the assholes, like in a fiction sort of sense.
Yeah,
sure.
But I mean, if she wants to put down roots, but I mean, she goes to Boston later in the book, so I mean, I guess she'd have an easier claim to do it there.
I guess. That's, I mean, that's true.
Rowan and Sloane unalive people in that city.
Hide better in a big city.
Yeah,
that is true.
Maybe Lachlan needs to give Fionn and Rose their own contest. Now that is a good novella.
That would be great.
Rose would also kick Fionn's ass.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh,
but
100%.
she would fuck something up and he'd have to come help her, which would be hilarious.
Yes. Yeah.
There's your novella, Brynne Weaver. We want a Christmas novella, please.
Well, my biggest revelation is actually related to my least favorite moment. But just the reveal that Fionn and Rose actually had sex all the way back in Butcher and Blackbird was really surprising to me.
Yeah.
Because I just assumed all through Butcher and Blackbird and Leather and Lark that they were not hooking up.
I agree.
I assumed that they were like pining after each other and like longing for each other, that there was tension and angst, but that they weren't crossing that line.
Well, because in the other 2 books, Fionn is like a robot.
That's true. Yeah.
Right? And so you don't assume that they have any type of connection.
Yeah, not at all. So I'm interested to see in this, if we get to see in this book, how they hide that, like in their POV, because when I read the first 2 books, I did not think that they were hooking up at all. So I don't know. Maybe I just wasn't thinking about it or wasn't looking for it.
I mean, it didn't cross my mind either.
You were too busy lusting after Lachlan.
Probably, honestly. I was distracted.
And I was going, when's Rowan coming back?
Yeah, I was distracted by Lachlan. But yeah, that was a big revelation to me. So what about you, Mindy?
Well, my biggest revelation also kind of goes with your least favorite moment. I had forgotten or not like noticed or cared. I don't know. The first time I read it, that Rose had a cum kink, and that this is actually a thing, and there's much more to it than just like breeding kink.
I was
or
going
just
to ask,
liking.
is that the same as a breeding kink?
A breeding kink is part of it.
Okay.
This is like the umbrella. So I'm going to start out with warning.
Sorry.
Warning. Some of this content may be something that we or our listeners think is like gross or whatever, but this is a legitimate craving for some people, and there is no shame. This is for educational purposes. If you're wanting to explore, if you don't want to explore, you can skip
Then
this
don't.
part.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Well, no, we're not going to yuck your yum, but listen
Yeah.
to Mindy, because normally she teaches us something.
So, I mean, I did learn quite a bit about this, but also, like, if you don't like the word cum, I'm probably going to say it a lot.
Trigger warning.
So, there's
Better
that.
than like spooge. Or,
I know.
I don't like the word seed.
I don't like the word spend
Yeah.
either.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
no.
and that
Juices.
is used.
Juices
So,
is a
yeah, cum it
common
is.
one.
So,
Yeah.
but this is a very interesting statistic here. There is a man named Dr. Justin Lehmiller who ran a study of 4,000 Americans and asked them if they had sexual fantasies about semen. And 79% of the men had, and 65.5% of women had.
Those are high
this
percentages.
Is a lot more common than you would
Yeah.
think, right? So there's a difference though between a kink and a fetish, which I also did not realize.
Do
this.
tell, please.
So they're not the same thing. A kink is something you enjoy and is nice to have, but not necessary to your enjoyment. Like, I like a little light choking. I don't have to have it. It's nice though.
A little airplay.
Yeah. So there's that. But a fetish, on the other hand, is considered something essential for you to enjoy your sexual experience.
Like you're not going to get off if that's not part of it.
Exactly.
I see.
Exactly.
Okay.
So
Okay.
there is a subtle difference there.
I think
It
I
does
would
make
have said
sense.
those were opposite, to be honest.
I think I would have said
I
that
think
too.
I would have too. Yeah.
But
the
that's-
more you know.
So the first rule of every sexual exploration is consent and communication, obviously.
yeah.
I just cannot stress this enough, especially discuss in this instance any STDs, because even just contact with the skin can sometimes transmit, like if you've got an open cut or something.
Like their cum gets into your cut and you have like gonorrhea in your cut.
Right.
Ugh.
Yeah. Also,
Can you imagine going to the doctor and I'll be like, it's infected, and they're like, no, you have gonorrhea on your finger.
Yeah.
yeah, that'll ruin your night.
I know somebody that got strep in a spider bite on their back.
Ooh.
Ow.
Yeah. Stuff happens.
Well, and apparently some people have an allergy to semen, and this is something
Oh.
I never would have thought about, but apparently semen can go rancid. So it needs to be consumed in an hour or less if you could have digestive issues.
Okay, Rose might have had a stomach ache because she leaves in the morning and wipes his spind off of herself and
Yeah.
licks it.
That's true.
I'm telling you. See?
That's why she was trying to get out of the room. She needed to poop.
She had digestive issues.
I'm experiencing digestive distress.
Whitney's having digestive issues just listening.
I really
So if this is an issue, they do make fake cum if you want to get the benefits without the risk.
Oh.
So that is something.
But isn't part of the kink or fetish the virility?
Sometimes
and
it is. So I'm going
the
to go into
wanting
that.
behind it?
Here, I'm actually going to go into that
Don't
now.
ask questions.
Whitney's like, stop prolonging this. I'm very interested.
This is exactly the questions I had. So this is why I'm going into this. So let's talk about the reasons why you might want to try cum play. This kind of kink has a broad spectrum of motivations and practice.
So does my THC, but
some motivations are enjoying the taste, texture, or sight of semen, emotional connection and intimacy of sharing bodily fluids,
understand
I get
one.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
sexual degradation, so that's part of like the BDSM
Sure.
sector, fertility, and even just because they like getting messy.
yeah.
Okay.
So there's all these different reasons why you might want to try this. Okay, so now you know why, and now you want to put it into practice. I mean, Whitney doesn't, but
Whitney is not yucking your yum. It's just not for her.
yeah.
It's
it's
not
just
my
not her
yum.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing.
so
yum.
there's so many choices.
Oh, great.
From just seeing a cock come, like a lot of people just like the pre-cum that comes out,
I mean, that does show that you're doing a good job.
right?
The bead at the tip.
To just getting it on one or more parts of the body.
For being someone who doesn't like this, you sure are saying a lot.
I'm just quoting from what I've read in books.
So, Yeah, so it could be even a much more involved thing. So I'm only going to go over a few of these, but there are a couple of articles linked in the show notes. One is from Men's Health and one is from ewsingles.com. I'm not even, I kind of looked at it. It's
Is
like,
it ew singles?
I know, that's what I was like.
Whitney, you're not yucking anyone's
was
job.
That's what the
Unfortunate
website is
name.
called.
Yeah, it was-
EW singles.
Maybe it's Entertainment Weekly singles.
Maybe.
Or entertaining wieners.
Or esophageal wet singles. Engrossing sperm singles. I mean, we could do a lot.
That's ES.
Oh, whoops. Engorged wieners.
There you go.
Excessive wanking.
Listeners, what else you got? Put them in the comments.
Send it to us.
So,
Don't send us. Don't send us things.
Yes,
Don't
please
send pictures.
Us.
Just
Don't
send-
send pictures. Just send what you think EW stands for in EWsingles.com.
and as
They're
we're-
not a sponsor. I'm sorry we keep saying their website.
Sorry. So one of the most popular is the facial, which is exactly how it sounds when a partner ejaculates on the other's face. This also encompasses bukkake, in which multiple partners ejaculate on another partner's
Again,
face.
I want to point out that Whitney's over here.
She's like doing a little happy dance.
I was role playing. The facial.
For someone who doesn't like this, she just put her face up towards heaven and smiled.
It's because I'm uncomfortable.
I don't know. I think we're unlocking something here.
Is this a kink or a fetish? Sorry, can you say what you said again? Because I was very distracted.
I'm so
by
sorry.
Whitney was doing.
Tell me more about facials.
Okay, so it's exactly how it sounds when a partner ejaculates on the other's face, and it also encompasses bukkake, which is multiple partners ejaculating on another partner's
I learned
face.
what that was from Cards Against Humanity.
I did too.
I think I just learned it just now.
Yeah,
I've heard
so.
it a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot going on here. So the second would be like tasting, licking, or swallowing. And that can involve, but is not limited to. Okay. So this is if this is kind of part of your fetish is that you just like the taste or the texture or whatever. You can lick the cum off the body. Apparently there are people that like to spoon feed it.
Spoon feed it?
Yeah, spoon feed it. Like
How much are these guys getting out of themselves?
and I'll go into that a little later
All right.
too. Putting it on a plate, in a bowl, or in a glass for consumption, and also coming on food or drink and then ingesting it. Apparently, a popsicle is a popular choice, or cooking it into your food.
Wouldn't the heat from the cum melt the
We just lost Whitney for sure.
You've lost me multiple times.
Well, that does happen in book 1.
I know.
So
I
I
didn't like
guess
it.
David has a cum kink.
I guess. Oh,
Maybe, yeah.
Because we don't know whose cum that is.
Or he's just psycho.
Or that Thurston guy.
Yeah.
Whichever one.
Who made the ice cream.
Yeah,
right?
I don't know.
David is happily eating it, though.
Well, that's true.
And we know that he was at least sane enough to do a long con.
True.
So,
he knew.
True.
yeah.
He knew what was in that ice cream.
He knew what he was eating. So there's that. There are recipes, and you all are welcome to Google it. I did not link to any of those.
Listeners, you can do that on your own
that's
time.
on your own time.
In your
So-
own algorithm.
Maybe you just prefer quantity, and this is what you were getting at, Deb. So edging is the way to go here, right? And I just pulled this quote because I feel like it sums it up the best. Enjoy his pre-cum. Just keep edging and teasing him, and you will be surprised how much pre-cum he creates from the constant buildup. When he finally comes, there will be so much cum for you that you may not be able to manage it all.
Oh my gosh. That
So-
sounds like a threat. Honestly,
You may not be able to manage this.
You can't handle the cum.
it's like the elevator.
School today because of flooding, and I know my kids are 2 rooms away going, "Oh my god!"
It makes me think of the elevator scene in The Shining when the doors open and all the blood.
That's what happens.
Cum, a
That's what
river
happens
of
when
cum.
you edge, yeah.
And there's also a blooper from the movie Anchorman, one of the Anchorman movies, where Will Ferrell says it was a river of ejaculate, and that's what I'm. That's what I'm imagining here.
That's what that's what they're wanting.
This might be a stupid question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Is this all mostly only focused on the man ejaculating, or is it also?
Yes, mostly.
Okay, because I know you
I
have
guess,
a lot more options with the man, right?
But I mean, honestly, like if we're talking about squirting, a lot of the stuff could go the same way.
Yeah. Well, you could do.
I mean, I did read that book where he drank her.
It's a big. I feel like a lot of romance books I'm reading right now, the guy will go down on the girl or like finger her, whatever, and she has an orgasm, and then he like licks it off his hand or whatever, or licks it off his mouth or whatever,
yeah,
and
you
that's
see that
supposed
a
to
lot.
be.
Finally, these are just some other explorations that could be something
Interesting.
that you would want to explore. There could be a taste test with multiple partners. Where
I'm like, oh wow, that tastes like sperm. Well, that one also tastes like sperm.
Yeah, in a blind test.
Can you eat something to make them taste different?
Well, I'll get to that.
Okay.
Yes. So also a cum shot photo shoot. Some people like to do that.
Oh no.
Wow.
There's too much public sharing of photos.
Exactly. Making sure every drop gets inside her, which is where you get the breeding kink, right?
Okay.
And then having him ejaculate on your underwear and then you wear it.
That's that. So I will say in a lot of books, like they'll do it in public and then he makes her like not clean up. And
right.
I mean, I kind of get that one.
I mean, I think that's
because it's a reminder of what you just did.
And that's where, like, if you have that whole intimacy, like you want to have that more intimate moment, like you feel like you're still in that moment or whatever.
Sure.
I think that's where that comes in for sure.
Well, it's like a claiming too.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. 100%. And then there's also scenting or wearing it like perfume, like dab a little behind your ears.
You smell sweaty.
You smell very salty.
I feel like I've seen a movie or something where somebody did that.
Where they used it as hair gel and there's something about
No,
Mary.
not like, I mean, yes, there's that too, but it's going to bother me. I'm going to have to figure out what movie it is that I saw it in.
Maybe you don't want to tell us what movie that was.
It would not have been that kind of movie.
It's probably a vampire movie.
It probably, or at least I think it's a vampire movie. And I'm like, oh, wait, it's Saltburn.
There is a lot of ejaculate in that.
That is true.
I'm pretty sure he has a cum
He
kink.
has a cum kink.
Yeah,
For sure.
100%.
if not a fetish.
Yeah. And then finally, there are even ejaculating dildos for when you're single or your partner's away. So this is also where...
Sorry, the good thing about doing that solo is not having a mess.
I know, right? But I think
But
this
if you
is
like
where
that, then-
the fake cum
Yeah.
would come into play as well.
Right.
If
If it makes you
if the mess
feel like
is what you like.
If,
Right,
if
yeah,
it's
yeah.
the messy part of it that you like, or you like that texture or whatever. So anyway, again, I did not link any links to those. You'll have to go Google that yourself, but do it in incognito mode.
Do that
is my
on your
suggestion.
own time.
Yeah.
don't do that in front of your children.
Yeah, it's probably
Oh,
not a good
Lord.
idea.
Don't listen to this episode in front of your children.
Please,
Or
no.
any episode we do.
I mean,
the
for
record.
real, yeah.
We've had one listener when we did Wreck the Halls, and Beat was into edging, and she said it came on when her kids got in the van, and I was going, I'm coming. I was like,
Oops.
maybe
She was in a hurry.
she was getting there quickly.
Yeah.
Beat wasn't.
No.
No, he wasn't.
So finally, we're thinking, if you're getting to where you want to try it, but you just can't stand the taste. This is what you were asking, Deb. You can always try making it taste better. And so these are the things you should suggest to your partner to try. If you want it to be more sweet, try fruits like berries, plums, kiwi, apples, melon, and avocado. So really that
There's only two things.
I was
on
gonna
that
say
list
that-
I'm not allergic to.
I know, I was going to say that totally
So
takes
could
it out.
I have an allergic reaction if my husband ate those?
Okay.
I hope not.
I know.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
I would not try it. Just in case.
We don't really keep those fruits in the house because
Sure,
of me. So.
yeah.
True.
Yeah.
So now to cut bitterness, you can try citrus fruits like pineapple and oranges. So that would make it at least taste a little less bitter.
And depending on your lifestyle, you might have a pineapple handy.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
So you can also spice things up with cinnamon, wheatgrass, spearmint, peppermint, or parsley,
Hey,
which
honey.
is like such a generic.
I want to
Yeah,
go down
that's
on you
weird.
tonight. Could you eat some wheatgrass and parsley
Chew
for me?
on this parsley for a second.
It's like Fionn making that gross green smoothie. Like, here.
That's what it is. He wanted to cut the bitterness.
That's what it was. That is exactly what it is.
There was a method to that madness.
Or you can also try celery, which is high in vitamin C, and that can flush out any of the saltiness.
Oh.
So
I don't think I've ever heard that about
I hadn't
celery
either.
being with vitamin C.
So.
Well, all right.
So there's that. Now, you definitely want to avoid the following, though, because these will definitely make it taste nasty.
Nasty.
Again, if that's your thing, but I'm not a fan. So avoid the following: asparagus, onions, garlic, broccoli. These are all like obvious, right? Like you don't want it on your breath, so why would you want it in your cum?
If it's gonna make you farty, then
red meat and dairy are the other two. And then actually also alcohol and caffeine can also contribute to a less desirable
that's
taste.
all I drink. I looked at my husband. I tried to take a nap earlier and I couldn't. And I was like, I came downstairs for dinner and I was like, all I had to drink today was coffee.
Well, that'll do it.
That'll do it.
Why do I feel kind of sick and jittery? I don't know.
So there you have it, listeners. If you want to explore this, go right ahead.
That was very educational.
You know. Yes.
Thank you, Megan.
I actually really did learn
groups you discussed.
I actually learned quite a bit.
Yeah,
I
really
still don't
Thank
think
you.
it's something that I'm into.
I like the virility part of it.
Yeah.
I understand that, and I understand the claiming part of it that you talked about, right? And I think everybody's got their thing that makes them feel good. And this is a very safe thing to do with a trusted partner.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, I would say if Darren was like, I just want to make a mess, that's a fantasy of mine, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, for sure.
But I don't want to eat
be like,
it or
get
drink
it all over me.
Yeah, like I don't want to like put it in a glass and down it. Or
I don't want
him
him to be able to like draw on it or anything.
yeah.
Finger paint.
No.
Hurry up, it's drying.
No, thank you.
Anywho, well, spicy scenes, huh?
Yep.
Yeah.
That leads us right into the next category.
Well, mine will be very quick. My favorite spicy scene. So I didn't enjoy the spicy scenes really, but I did very much enjoy this one moment when Fionn tore Rose's panties off. I enjoyed that. I approve. Well done. Well done, all. And that's mine.
You know, I did like the spice in these chapters.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the angst leading up to it when Fionn was blowing into Rose's cast to help her with like the itch. I thought that was very intimate, right?
Oh, for sure.
And something that, again, takes a lot of trust and for him to be messing with her injury. But I did melt when Fionn says, if you don't want me to stop, Rose, eyes on me. Because she interrupts him and she goes, I know, tell you to stop. And he's like, bitch, that wasn't what I was about to say. He doesn't call her a bitch for the record.
Yeah.
But he's like, no, keep watching me or you don't get your reward.
Yeah, I do like a feisty Fionn. Like when he starts to like exhibit a little bit of dominance.
Because I think he'd be so fun.
I know. So my spicy scene might surprise you. I didn't dislike the spice in these either. I just was a little underwhelmed.
Yeah.
But my favorite spicy scene is when Rose uses the crochet hook to scratch inside her cast, because if you have never had a cast before, you cannot understand the orgasmic feeling of scratching that itch.
That's true.
Broke both my arms
Oh, she
twice.
wanted to scratch an itch already.
Yes, she did. I broken both my arms twice when I was a kid, and so I had several casts.
Okay, here's what I was thinking about when he was doing that, though, because both of my kids have broken their arms, and those casts stink.
Yeah, they're
so
nasty.
He has his mouth so close to her, she can feel like the stubble, and you know her cast smelled.
Yeah, they don't smell good.
Yeah. I mean, and
But
she even talks about that she could feel her hair moving because she hadn't been able to shave in so long.
Yeah.
Which, again, shaving is a social construct, so, I mean, you don't have to do that.
Sure.
But, yeah. So, yes, I 100% would stick, like, plastic knives and spoons and all kinds of stuff
Out of
down in there.
everything, you were like, it was so hot when she scratched herself.
I'm telling you, you do not understand. It is orgasmic to get to scratch that itch.
I mean, I feel you. Well, let's move on to chapter MVPs.
Mine has to do with sex, so I can just carry on the conversation.
Sure, go for it.
My chapter MVP is Rowan's stamina. And from Peon.
That's a different kink.
Yeah. No. From Fion's point of view, he says, it does not stop 4 hours. I try falling asleep with my earbuds and a playlist of white noise, but all the white noise in the world can't cover up the occasional scream. I swear to Christ, and I was thinking, fecking Christ. I don't think I've ever wanted to murder my brother more than I have tonight. And so Rowan and Sloane are my favorite. It's what made me fall in love with this series. And so I loved seeing that point of view. Like you said, I would have loved to have been oh my God, like
a little more drawn out.
or even like I need to rub one out.
Yeah,
or,
something.
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I did Rowan's stamina all the way.
That's so funny because mine was Fion's stamina. Because he made
the Kane brothers can go all night long.
I mean, he made sure Rose was satisfied with
Okay,
her
but
kink.
can
And
I
that's
say-
a lot of pressure, I will say.
Can I say one of my questions was where did his stamina come from? Because he says he hasn't had sex in years.
Well, I mean, maybe he's been building it up.
Like
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I agree. And I would have liked to have seen more of that stamina for sure. But, you know, I mean, that's a lot of pressure if somebody tells you, like, your first time you're doing it with them and they're like, oh, by the way, I have a cum kink, so you better
Yes.
you better provide.
Was I the only one? Maybe this reveals too much about me. Was I the only one that was like, how is he doing this? Like, pull out, come on your stomach, go in, come in.
I
like,
think he was ejaculating that time.
no,
Like
I know that. But I'm just the constant in and out movement. I'm like, how do you have the agility?
Well, I
to
don't
do
know how
that?
he has that control if he hasn't done it. It's
Right.
definitely control.
I have a lot of questions about that, and I was like,
he can perform surgery. I mean, he has a lot of agility,
I mean, I guess, but
a lot of focus.
I was perplexed by that specific description.
But also, I would be like, dude, stop taking it out of me.
Yeah.
it was
But I mean,
odd.
if you like the feeling of that, then she probably did
I mean,
really
I
enjoy
guess,
that.
but I was just like, I don't understand like, what we're doing here. I thought that was weird, but you know,
Who was
that's
your
just
MVP
me.
with?
Just Rowan. I wrote for existing, for showing up in this book, and for encouraging Fionn to go for it with Rose, even though he kind of didn't listen for a little bit.
Yeah.
True.
But, yeah.
True.
Short, sweet, and to the point. But my favorite secondary character is kind of a weird one. The mid-sex conversation that Rose and Fionn have about like what they're enjoying with each other.
Yeah.
I really liked that.
I did like their communication.
I thought that that in particular like was a little bit cringy. It was like, I like being in you. Like it made me think of that episode of Friends where he's like vulva because he can't think of anything to say dirty. But I also felt like that was kind of realistic to have like a kind of awkward conversation like that with the first time with somebody.
Be like, dude, stop talking.
Yeah, like, you know, it's the first, they know each other, sort of, but it's the first time they're having sex together and they're very into each other and they want it to be good and they really like each other. And I don't know, I just thought it was like weirdly sweet.
They're both very awkward too. Like if you look at it like juxtaposed with Lachlan and Rowan, Fionn is definitely the less smooth of the three,
that's
right?
for sure.
So like you see like all this like smooth talk from the other two, and then you get Fionn, and it's just so.
I like putting my dick in you.
Yeah, I mean it's like so true to character.
I think if he would let himself be himself, he'd probably be a little smoother.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I agree. But I did enjoy that. The kind of cringy, but also sweet. I thought that was cute. I liked that conversation. What about you guys?
Mine was Sloane. I just love that we get all facets of her personality in the small amount of time that we get from her there. She's protective of Rose. She's a total badass. She is in love with Rowan, and she gives him shit.
Yeah.
So like even if you hadn't read Butcher and Blackbird, you would know exactly who she is.
Yeah.
Just from this one scene.
Yeah, the only thing I want to add to that, and you had said that she protects Rose from getting teased by Rowan. He says, like, well, she tried to beat me with her crutch. And Sloane's like, dude, you fucking ate 3 servings of her waffles and used all her syrup. Yeah. And then he goes, I did a lot of sports last night.
I know.
So, yeah, Sloane was also mine.
Yeah.
I mean, I think any scene Sloane is in, she's always going to be in my top. I mean, she's just so fucking funny and so relatable in a an episode, even though she's the orb weaver.
Yeah.
That Rowan thing where he's like, we had a lot of sex. I needed to eat. It made me think of an episode of The Office where Dwight has like a sex marathon with somebody at a wedding, and then he's eating like all this breakfast, and somebody's like, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm ravenous after a night of lovemaking. That's what that Rowan thing made me think of. But anyway, that was just a random little side note.
I bet Dwight has a cum kink.
I mean, he has a breeding kink for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. What has been your favorite quote in these chapters?
I have 3.
Go for it.
Okay, go ahead, Mindy.
No, you go ahead.
Okay, so talking about the sex thing, I love when Rose looks at Fionn and goes, shut the fuck up and eat my pussy.
That was
That's
mine.
Yes, that's mine.
And
Yeah.
she's like, dude, stop. Just okay.
I have suffered enough.
But then leading up to that, she says, you won't let me live off sugar alone. You keep trying to give me that green shit. Let me have something. Like when she's scratching inside her cast. And then when they go into the bedroom, he hesitates, right? And she starts pleasuring herself. And she goes, I feel like I'm befriending myself in this friends with benefits situation.
That was one of mine too.
Yeah, and
That's
she
so
just
funny.
is so fucking funny in this chapter at the end that I'm like, Rose, you're saying what we're all thinking.
Yep.
We're on your side, Rose.
That's hilarious because 2/3 of mine were the same as yours. The only one I would add is when Fionn and Rowan are talking and he says, I'm her doctor for one thing. And he's talking about like why it would be wrong. And Rowan says, forbidden. I like it. Makes it 10 times hotter.
I almost wrote that down too. Yeah.
And there were some good quotes.
There were some good ones in this.
What about other questions that you guys have?
Okay, why did we bring up the random neighbors 3 doors down that waved to Fionn and Rose? Who is that? Larry the truck driver? Like, who is
Maybe.
that?
Question.
I don't know who that
It's
is.
so random.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
I don't know if we're going to find out who that is. I don't know.
It made me think probably both times because I still don't know who they are. Like where are they going to come into play? Like that's
Right.
how my brain works. I'm like, if you throw
Right.
something random in there, I'm like,
It's-
that better come back
Plus,
up later.
Fionn
Yeah.
knows no one on his street. So
Right.
then I'm thinking,
So
Rose
why are-
befriended them,
Right.
obviously.
Maybe that's why it happens. Maybe it's just it's because of Rose. They're waving at Rose, right?
Right. Okay.
Like not at
Maybe.
Fionn. Like maybe
Right,
that's
because
the point.
even being the town's physician, he doesn't know
He
anybody.
still doesn't know people.
Yeah. Right.
Which we learned, what was that, the Fight Club?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I only wrote down 2 questions. One of them I had already talked about. They're the author questions, really. Like, why don't we get to see the conversation where Rowan talks to Fionn about Sloane? Like, I said, why is Fionn aggressively agile with coming on and in Rose? Why do we get, just sentences instead of actual details and descriptions of their sex marathon? But my other question was, what is the deal with Fionn thinking Sloane sees through him so much? Like, is that a real thing? Is she actually thinking that? Is it his paranoia?
I think he knows she's very perceptive, and she's looking at him like he's full of shit.
Yeah, I guess my only problem with that idea that she's so perceptive, whatever, is that one of the major conflicts in Butcher and Blackbird is that neither she nor Rowan are perceptive enough to realize that David is pulling a con on them.
Yeah.
You know
or
what I
that
mean?
they love each other.
Well, that's true too. But that whole thing is just, I need
She's
more.
not fucking perfect, Whitney.
Well, why not? No,
I will say I'm a very, very, very intuitive person, and sometimes I will tell my husband things about people when we meet them, and he'll be like, "Nuh-uh," and I've never been wrong.
Yeah.
So maybe that's just how Sloane is.
Maybe.
I
But
can also see that it's just Fionn being completely paranoid.
I could see him. I could see it both ways.
Because
Yeah.
he's living a lie, right?
For sure.
And so he's and he doesn't interact with a lot of people. So I'm wondering if he's in his head thinking, can she see through me? Am I really
Right.
putting across what I think I'm putting across? Like I can
Yeah.
see him going through all those.
Sure.
In his mind
I just-
too. But yeah, it is like, it would have been nice to have a little bit more
something from
Sloane's point of view.
Yeah, which we didn't get in Butcher and Blackbird either. Her point of view was all Rowan's point of view in that section of that book. But are any other questions? Was that everybody's?
No, I think we
that's
covered
it for
everything.
me.
I wanted.
Well, what are we looking forward to?
I'm really excited about Fionn chasing Rose down. I mean, they brought that up, so surely
Yeah.
it's going to happen.
Oh
right?
yeah, like the fantasy. Whatever.
Yeah.
I put more dirty, unrestrained Fionn.
I mean, he did become a lot more interesting in this chapter.
Absolutely.
Be yourself. That's a Daniel Tiger song.
Thank you. Do you have a Bluey song you want to add to that?
No, not that I can think
Tell
of.
me you have small children without telling me you
Yeah,
have small
exactly.
children.
So I wrote down a couple of things that I'm looking forward to. First of all, I'm hopeful that we see the other Kane brothers a lot more because there needs to be a little bit more action and a little bit less hanging
little
out.
less conversation, a little more action.
More action.
I do hope that we see Lachlan and Lark soon. It's because we got to see Sloane and Rowan. And then the only other thing that I wrote down is I'm hoping that I enjoy the future sections a little more because the last couple of sections I just haven't really loved.
Been disappointed.
There are things that I have really liked about everything we've read so far, but ultimately I've felt just kind of like wah about it. So hopefully that changes soon. We'll see. What about you
We'll
guys?
see.
Did you already say it?
I already said mine. Did you have one?
I said mine. I
Yeah.
wanted
Oh.
dirty, unrestrained Fionn.
That's right. I feel like I blacked out. I forgot that you guys said those things. Well, next week we will be discussing Scythe and Sparrow, chapters Descent through Hurdles. And don't forget, our Tuesday episodes with author interviews and other fun discussions are every single week. So be sure to check those out. Give us a follow. Give us a like. Leave us a review.
Everything's at Our Nerdiest Thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we'll see you next time.
Hard to miss us. Come find us.
See you next time.
Bye, everybody. Like what you heard in this episode? Follow Our Nerdiest Thing on Instagram at instagram.com/Our Nerdiest Thing or Facebook at facebook.com/Our Nerdiest Thing. We love hearing from fellow nerds. Email us at ournerdiestthing@gmail.com.